Today, we are excited to launch a brand new CEO series where we're talking to the heads of some companies you may not have heard of, but could add some big momentum for your portfolio. Let's dive in. Today, we are very excited to have Robert Piconi, the CEO of Energy Vault, with us to talk about their exciting innovation in the renewable energy field. And like most companies, Robert, your company really started off by kind of solving a problem the industry was facing, and that's storage. Share a little bit more about what Energy Vault does.
Sure. Thank you, Bridget. Pleasure to make some time here and pleasure to meet you. We focus on energy storage and we're founded with a mission around broadly decarbonization, but very specific to solving a problem around the intermittency of wind and solar and enabling essentially what's intermittent power resources, solar when the sun's shining, wind when the wind is blowing, and storing that energy to be discharged at times when there's high demand. So we look at providing economic and sustainable energy storage solutions, and we can provide them in a mechanism and through a software platform to integrate various forms of technology because there is no, let's say, silver bullet. There's different applications and use cases, and different technologies have different economic profiles to solve those. So we utilize a very sophisticated energy management system and software platform to be able to deliver our own proprietary energy storage solutions as well as integrate other energy storage solutions in the market.
Yeah, you are a company that's also built on AI or at least utilizing it. Talk about what sets Energy Vault's storage solutions apart from maybe some other competitors in this field.
Sure. I think one thing that's very unique about us versus any other provider is we do support multiple durations and multiple technologies. So most energy storage companies will focus on, for example, lithium ion and the short duration market of 2 to 4 hours. Others have developed long duration technologies like we have that's focused on 8 hours to 12 hours. And even others are looking at developing much longer term, even 100-hour batteries, for example, for longer or ultra long duration. So what's unique about Energy Vault is that we develop solutions to serve all of those markets through the development of our innovative software platform. So that's something that is unique to us and something that also allows us to be a stronger partner of various customer sets, whether that be public utilities, that can be independent power providers, or even can be large industrial energy users, because we can sit with them, understand what problem they're trying to solve, and match the appropriate technology to it and deliver that availability of power. And we guarantee that through our software platform. So I'd say that's a primary differentiator. And I think another secondary differentiator for us is we've been in the market now across many regions of the world in deploying projects. So in the US market, in the China market with our gravity solution, which is long duration, we've gotten started in Australia and just announced a full gigawatt hour project, for example, just 1 week ago. It's a very interesting for us because we have definitely a global view on what's happening and have even announced license deals with our long duration gravity technology in 16 states in South Africa, for example. And just to complete the circle, we just announced with Petrobras in Brazil at our last earnings first gravity system for long duration there. So I think this second area of both being global and actually implementing projects and delivering projects as a young company is also sets us apart.
Absolutely. Definitely finding success across the globe. That announcement with Australia partnership last week helped to boost your stock price a little bit. But I think our investors are definitely interested in hearing about the long-term commercialization plans. What is it going to take to get these products in more countries? What's your plan as a company for that?
Sure, it's the right question, Bridget, especially for investors, because we in our first year of revenue at 148 million, so delivered pretty much right on what we said in our plan. We had a nice second year where we more than doubled that growth. So we did almost 470 million in our first 2 years, and have guided this next 2 years, meaning this year and the next year, at 500 to 700 million, another large growth. But I think investors really want to see that backlog fill up of projects hence to your point of the 1 gigawatt hour in Australia, which we announced at 350 million US dollars plus as a single project. I think investors want to see that show up in the backlog formally now as we progress, so they can get visibility into just the execution of those projects, which will generate that revenue, and also deliver on what we've also formally guided. We did this at our first analyst and investor day in May earlier this year, but we also guided on being full year cash flow and EBITDA positive in what would be our third full calendar year having revenue and as a public company. So that's a nice growth profile, I think, for us to have and to get and achieve that here in our third year, which will be next year in 2025. And just seeing these announcements now come is what's driving some of that recent uptick in the stock, because there's that confidence now that investors to enter when it becomes now just a matter of just execution of projects. And that's one thing we've been very good at, and also done them very quickly and with quality across the board. We delivered over 1 gigawatt hour in 2023 and have more projects now that we'll be delivering, and those have gone very well.
Yeah, you're just a couple weeks ahead of your next earnings reports. Will there be more project announcements coming, or anything you can give a sneak peek to some of our investors?
Yeah, we're in a blackout period right now here before our earnings, which are coming up on the 12th of November. It's about a week later this year due to the election. But generally we'll be giving updates on projects as well as on our guidance for the remaining part of the year. Now that we're going to be approaching almost mid-November, so we've got pretty good visibility into where we're going to be, and we'll see also what we're going to be saying about the next year. Typically, we do our Q4 earnings in February, later in February, where we would then give our formal guidance on an annual basis. But I think we'll be able to talk about what these recent deals that we're announcing will mean in terms of our plan for next year. So we're looking forward to that.
Let's go a little broader and talk about your industry as a whole. What kind of growth opportunities and demand are we seeing in the energy storage industry?
Yeah. Well, it's large, just and large because of the new renewables that are becoming more and more part of the grid, and therefore the need to complement that with storage. It's large because some countries, like the United States, have put in place incentives to be able to apply not only as historically to wind and solar on projects, but now to storage via investment tax credits, but also other incentives that was put in place under the Inflation Reduction Act that sought to incent localized or domestic content, as well as incenting investment in communities where the employment may be lower than other communities, and therefore around job creation. So I think that's another impetus that we're seeing, and other countries have followed suit to that. And then generally, the third thing I'd mention here, which is very topical now, especially in the US, and now becoming topical in other parts of the world. I met with the minister in Victoria, the Minister of Energy there in Australia, about this topic of the hyperscalers and the demand on power, and what's happening not only with generative AI. I know that's getting a lot of the focus for the data center growth, but actually a lot of that growth and need is coming from a lot of the applications now being developed natively for the cloud. So you combine those factors, and the U.S. specifically, it's very difficult to line up power now, and you've seen some of the headlines. So I think this third area of growth is just around also the need for storage to complement renewable as a power source that's going to be serving this tremendous growth in power demand from the hyperscalers.
Yeah, getting more energy to the grid is a constant topic we cover here because it affects so many companies, and especially the growth in many, many profitable companies out there right now. Let's talk about a little bit more just about the risks that are in this industry. We're hearing a lot about nuclear power and some of those big data centers partnering and turning towards nuclear. Are there any other factors like that that could impact the future of renewable energy and storage that you provide?
Yeah, sure, certainly. I think given that power demand, a lot of the larger companies, the so-called Magna companies, so Microsoft, Apple, Google or Alphabet and the larger groups and hyperscalers, they are looking at clean ways to meet that demand and having the large balance sheets they have to invest. Interestingly, what Microsoft did Mile Island. These are things I think 2 years ago we would just have never foreseen. I'd say even a year ago they were. We just recently, I think this year, have seen this massive uptick in power demand. So I think all of those things will have an impact on our ability to meet the power demand. And what I can share is that from our perspective, I think meeting that with clean energy is fundamental. There is this push in just securing any power, including a lot of the natural gas, because it is abundant in the country, and of course that's fossil driven. So I think there's a balance here that is going to have to be struck here, so we don't start heating the planet up at a very steep rate again. And that's going to be solved through a combination of technology. Some we see today, by the way, Bridget, and some are coming, getting some of the carbon capture technologies deployed. For example, the advancements in energy transmission, meaning to reduce the loss of that over long distances, and having certain parts of the world where there's abundant solar be able to serve through this distribution other parts of the world where there's that demand. So a lot of things, evolving here.
It's a very evolving industry for sure. Now, Rob, I wanted to ask this question. You've been a part of a lot of Fortune 5 or Fortune 100 companies out there. What makes you excited specifically about helping to lead Energy Vault in this season where there's all kinds of developments in the world of energy?
Yeah. Well, I think anytime you work and have worked for a larger company, by definition of its size, typically they're global. So I would say, that experience that I had in working early on in my career, which I started actually in oil and gas, and then in the later '90s, as this little thing called the internet took off, got into networking and software and security and various companies along the way, and seeing how that technology, how it evolved, and the impact it had in how businesses were run and how fundamental economics were achieved and how efficiencies were gained, and to see that manifest itself in different regions of the world, that absolutely those experiences have supported what we're doing here at Energy Vault from the very beginning. And this has been such an amazing experience for me, having started, being one of a few people to start this company as a founder, with Bill Gross from Idea Lab, so out of Pasadena-based Idea Lab, and then to build it through the rounds of funding and taking it public, and just the dynamics of the last 3 to 4 years, having something like COVID that sort of brought the world to its knees at one point, and then coming out of that with a focus again on renewables and getting those deployed, and the dynamics we have today. It's been a fascinating experience, but for sure, I'm most excited about the potential impact that we can have as a company, on the world and the global dynamics in and around renewable storage, and supporting sustainable ways to make the clean energy transition.
Good. I think there's plenty of investors out there who care about the renewable energy sources and want to invest in that. Now, we do have other investors who are all about the dollars and the numbers and that balance sheet. What are some facts about the company and the way it's being run financially that you're proud of that you think investors would be interested to hear?
Yeah, I think right off the bat, I'd say that we've managed our investors' cash well, meaning we've um, built the company and have taken actions to also have a very efficient cost structure, proactively. We've not put any debt on the company, so we're debt free, which makes it, I think from a management perspective, you can have that cash to plan for growth as we've been. And that's shown up in the fact that we're investing in projects and owning them. So we aren't building things and then just flipping them, um, to have some immediate payback, which is might be a little smaller from a pure percentage or margin perspective. We're holding attractive assets on our balance sheet, investing in them because the returns are much higher over the long term. And investors will like that because we're going to have much more predictable cash flows and streams, versus relying on a project based business that can be sort of lumpy quarter to quarter. So typically, especially as a public company, that lumpiness and those dynamics quarter to quarter can be difficult for some investors. Predictability, reliability of those cash flows becomes very important. So I say the fact that we've managed the cash well, no debt in the company, have not done any dilutive financings. So a lot of companies were sort of forced to do that given just the capital dynamics. And these are all things I think as we've evolved the company that investors appreciate and will appreciate. And finally, just the aspect of we've been able to develop a solution that can adapt to the changes in the market very quickly with software. Meaning, if we would have developed just a single product, for example, and the market shifts, like in long duration, things moved out a little bit. If we didn't have a platform that could adapt and allow us to deliver what customers wanted in short duration, we would have had a much different type of growth path. So I think that innovation and flexibility in what we've built into our software means there's more diversification for investors that invest in our company because of our unique ability to meet different technology and durations in energy storage.
That flexibility and innovation is already capturing attention of some big companies, including that big $350 million deal you got in Australia. We saw lots of news coverage of that this October. What does that mean and for your future as Energy Vault?
Yeah, I just spent a great week there and was in Melbourne, where they had their All Energy Conference, which is their largest one there. And what a amazing opportunity there is there, and amazing investments being there and supported by the local governments, given the demand and the renewable build out that's taking place. So we were very excited to participate not only in the conference, but we met with our local teams and brought a lot of our global executives there to look at all the growth that we see. And we just announced our first project last May in Australia, a 400 megawatt hour with a group called ASIN, and then just announced this second project, a full gigawatt hour, and just so much opportunity there. And working in that case with an earlier stage developer, and you get those insights to a set of assets and platform builds, and to get involved early gives you that insight and ability to, I think, plan and then meet those customer needs and make the announcements like we did. So we see just tremendous opportunity there, and we'll be spending more time in building and growing. Are actually going to be tripling the size of our team there over the next 12 months, given all the opportunity. So very excited about participating in that market, which is going to be our most important market, in particular in terms of growth over the next few years.
Well, all some very exciting things to be watching in the future, and we will continue to watch it right here at MarketBeat. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rob. We really appreciate you sharing more about Energy Vault and a little bit about the company's future with our investors. And thank you, viewers, for tuning in to watch the conversation today. You can find many more videos with similar content featuring different companies and stocks you may not have heard of right here on our channel, MarketBeat Media. Thanks again for joining us, and as always, happy investing.